Welcome everyone, I'm the Cromulent Archer and welcome to the second month of Max Loserman's One Painful Year. On day 31, Max returned to Dixie to see the results of the burn from the previous day. There were a few zombies still in the area that I had occasionally had to deal with. I was able to access a trailer filled with crates of orange soda and pop. I only took a few of them, but it is a source of potential calories in the future. In the parking lot there was a single truck which sadly didn't have a key, but it did have some good stuff in the truck bed, including a fire axe. Continuing to loot around, I was jumped by a zombie while looting in a nearby shed. After dealing with the zombie, I returned to collect duct tape and a fresh crowbar. I was able to loot the gas station store and found a bunch of junk food, and also the VHS tape for Woodcraft Episode 1. The tape would likely never be useful, but I decided to take it anyways. By the rules of the game, you have to read the generator book to learn how to use generators, but I decided that if Max ever reaches Electrical 5, I'll just teach it to him. I've never made it past level 4, so this seems unlikely. Day 32 was just exercise. I was making real progress on the regularity bar and wanted to try to get Max to more normal levels of fitness and strength. Day 33 also began with exercise, but I had some time in the second half of the day to do some foraging and cut down some more trees. Sawing logs is really the only outlet for carpentry XP at the moment. On day 34, I made another return trip to Dixie and discovered that due to various chunks being unloaded, a few zombies were still on fire. I hadn't planned to do a burn, but I wasn't going to turn down the opportunity. I spent a few hours walking the zombies around. After they were burned out, I looted most of the remaining mobile homes, finding a lot of food. Upon returning to the base in the evening, Max sawed logs. Day 35, it was back to Dixie to finish looting this section of the town, and I finally got inside the boarded up house. In it, I found a spiked baseball bat, amongst other things. Back home, it's more sawing. On the morning of day 36, I checked the radio, as has become my habit, and saw the air activity detected warning. I spent the day exercising and doing more tree chopping to work on my carpentry. As the night approached, I was putting Max to bed when the helicopter arrived. It turns out I had forgotten how the warning worked and thought it meant that the helicopter would come the next day, when in fact it means it'll come that day. I had no choice but to stay put and hope for the best. Post-helicopter, day 37, and things seemed okay upon first waking up. I had a feeling that wouldn't last. I haven't really been showing it much, but Max is routinely jumped by single zombies in the woods when moving place to place, so I knew there were zombies about. To counteract them, I prepared a fire. It turned out to be a good choice because right about the time I was finishing setting the fire, zombies showed up. I spent the rest of the day trying to coax the zombies out of the woods and burning them up. The area would be more dangerous for the next few days as a result. Max was awoken in the morning of day 38 by a zombie visitor at the window who had to be dealt with. I noticed that our stored water was getting low, so I collected a bunch of bottles and headed down to the train yard to fill them. I came across a water dispenser and decided to move it back to the house. Max could only slow walk while carrying it, and on the way home, he unfortunately collected a few forest zombies. Fallout from the helicopter most likely. I had no choice but to keep walking through the forest until I managed to lose them. It was very dark by the time I made it back to the road, so I dropped the water dispenser and booked it back home to sleep. In the fog of day 39, I went back to the road to find the water dispenser. While bringing it back, a zombie found me, and so I had to very slowly kill it due to the debuff from carrying the water dispenser. With it safely now in the house, I exercised for the remainder of the day. Day 40, it was back to Dixie. I really wanted to get into the diner and check the car next to it. In order to pull that off, I had to fight a number of zombies. The effort sadly didn't amount to much, as there wasn't much in the diner and the car was non-functional. On my way back home, I was jumped in the woods by a few zombies, including a policeman who had a double holster with him. I doubt it'll get much use anytime soon, but nice to have. Day 41 and the potatoes have finally matured, so I did my best Mark Watney impression and had a potato snack. While sawing more logs late in the day, I finally made it to Carpentry 1. This wouldn't get me much, but it's good to get the skills growing. On day 42, it was time to scout the other side of Dixie. I'd been focusing only on one half of this little town, so I made a quick trip through the other side, but had to back off as the zombie population was just too high. Upon returning home, there were a few zombies hanging around our area that had to be dealt with. I also decided to put in a new round of planting. This time a patch of radishes, cabbages, and carrots joined the potato patch. Day 43 was tailoring practice, exercise, and later in the day cleanup of a few zombies that were still within shambling distance of our house. Day 44 a blizzard hit and I mostly stayed home. Early in the morning, a zombie wandered by and had to be killed. Afterwards, the day was spent on more tailoring practice. It was slow going. Day 45, I killed a few more nearby zombies. At this point, I think I was finally getting the most of what the helicopter led to the area. Afterwards, it was exercise and tree chopping, which I guess is just a different kind of exercise. Day 46, I returned to Dixie to do a burn on the side still infested with zombies. Keeping the zombies away from the mobile homes turned out to be a bit of a struggle, but I mostly succeeded. And day 47 was a continuation of the burn from day 46. After a sleep at home, I came back and did my best to burn them all up. Hey, +1 strength. Day 48, I went back to Dixie to loot the spoils of my hard work of walking in circles. I had to group up and move a few zombies that had escaped the burn, and was able to loot a few of the mobile homes for food. I found a key to a car in one of the houses, but the car had no gas and no battery power. Day 49 and the helicopter's coming back, so I went off to the train yard for the day. I spent the morning checking the cars in the parking lot for batteries. If I could find a battery, a car back in Dixie would be helpful. I didn't find one. When the helicopter arrived, I took shelter in one of the train bunkers and waited it out. It hung around so long that I had to stay in one of the bathrooms overnight. I returned home on day 50 and focused on exercise, which I also continued into day 51. On day 52, I went back to Dixie to fight my way into the food market. The zombie population was light, and I found more food inside than I was able to carry back. Always a good problem to have. Day 53, I made a stew with a bunch of the food I brought back, and spent the afternoon foraging. Day 54 was more exercise and afternoon foraging. I noticed that Max had managed to put on enough weight to make it to just underweight, instead of very underweight. I was doing my best to keep the weight gain going. On day 55, the radishes were already grown, so I harvested them in the morning, then returned to Dixie to get the rest of the food from the food market, and do a bit of looting. I found some new clothes to change into since our padded pants and jacket were barely holding together at this point and can't be mended. Day 56 was exercise in the morning and tree chopping in the afternoon. On day 57, I passed through Dixie to the road on the north side. I'm still on the hunt for a working car battery, and I expected to find a large number of cars in a traffic jam here, but it seems to be missing. I don't know if the map generation just bugged out or if the large traffic jam here has been removed from the game. Let me know if you know in the comments. Day 58, I continued to focus on exercise. Max's regularity was getting very high, which meant more XP gain per exercise session. Day 59, I went back to Dixie to loot more. Since I had a bit more free carrying capacity these days, I started collecting uncooked rotten food stuff to bring home. Cooking rotten items still provides the cooking experience. On day 60, to get more serious about leveling carpentry, I spent some time turning some of the planks we've been making into spears. It wasn't a ton of XP, but it helps. I also decided to do a dismantling trip through the side of Dixie we started on. No bed, end table, or TV was safe from being destroyed. While clearing a cabinet in a mobile home so I could dismantle it, I found a pair of leather pants. One of the rarest and best pants in the game. So now Max is well protected and looking very chic. And so closes the second month of Max Loserman's One Painful Year. Things are starting to look up for him. He's almost normal weight and he's getting stronger every day. I am, as always, the Cromulent Archer. Thanks so much for joining me.